When it comes to Western Gundam fans, nothing really brings on the nostalgia quite like new mobile report Gundam WIng. But in recent years, those TV versions of those beloved mobile suits have been really underrepresented when it comes to gunpla. It has been over 4 years since we got the high-grade TV version of WIng, and it really did seem like that was it, that is all we were getting. But this right here is definitely that shining glimmer of hope on the horizon, that oasis in the desert that makes the impossible seem possible, that we're going to get absolutely awesome kits of each and every one of those 5 main mobile suits. Here's hoping. And all I can say before I actually get into this review is this kit has impressed me quite a bit. There is a lot going on in here. They kept that design true to the original, and I'm not gonna lie, I've never been the biggest fan of high-grade kits. Until recently, they never used to tick any of the boxes that made gunpla awesome to me. The posability was always meh, color separation was bad, they were small, and at the end of the day, they don't look that great on your shelf. But Bandai have really been putting a lot of effort into some aspects of these that makes them awesome. So with this guy right here, posability, check. Color separation, check. And all in all, this thing right here is so much fun to play around with. The biggest advantage to high-grade kits is they're small and simple, which means, for me, out of all the different grades of gunpla, they're the most fun to play around with. But anyway, that is enough of that babbling. This thing right here is great, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Now let's get into it. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade After Colony Gundam wait a minute there. Wait, so recently Bandai have been making super long names on their boxes. It seems like they just like lots of words on there. And I guess Gundam Sandrock wasn't enough, so they threw a code in this box, and now it's Gundam Sandrock and Gundam Breaker Mobile Product Code Set. Colony's Liberation Organization Mobile Suit. They like their big mouthfuls, but anyway, that box looks epic. We've got Sandrock looking awesome on the front there with its Maganax in tow. And before someone asks again, I'm not building that 36 Maganax set. They're awesome, but they're not built 36 of them awesome. However, if it was Leo's, I'd be tempted. Anyway, looking around the rest of the box, on the side here we've got some information about Gundam Breaker Mobile, which is called something like Gunpla Battle Gundam Warfare or something like that in the West. I don't know, they don't have it here in Ireland, so I don't care, I'm angry. Screw that game. Seriously, just jealous though. On the other side then we've got a front and back image of what it will look like built and some information on the actions. So we've got multiple hands in here, always awesome. 2 different variations of the Heat Shotel, that is the standard one in grey, that burning hot clear one. And look at this here. They've really stuck some good gimmicks into the articulation. So I've already built this and I can tell you, it's awesome. But anyway, that right there is what you get out of the box once you snap it together with some of what I would consider the required stickers as well as some panel lining. The details on this, especially on the legs, made it such a shame not to panel line it, so I had to just get in there with the Gundam marker. Look at all those little lines and details. Looking so damn good. But anyway, I'm gonna pop off those accessories for now. We can take a look at those a bit later, but let's take a quick look around the bot without all this stuff first. So first up, so you can see absolutely everything on this kit, we're going to give it a bit of a spin. And all I can say is this thing looks absolutely perfect. Once again, there is no color correcting stickers on this whatsoever. I will show you the couple that do come with the kit in a little bit, but all of this is actually colored plastic. The bits on the feet, the bits on the shoulders, those triangular parts with the little circular part, thruster or whatever that is, those were panel lined. And all the black lines and gray lines, of course, in case you don't know, are panel lined with the Gundam marker. But honestly, what Bandai's doing nowadays with their high-grade kits, that A-runner that has everything color separated on it, is absolutely fantastic. This thing looks great. Up there now on the right is the original line art of what the Sandrock looked like. Everything is absolutely perfect, but old school purists may notice that it's not quite as chunky as it used to be. This is a little bit slimmed down for this high grade. It still looks great, but if you're hoping for a chunkier, thicker version of Sandrock like we knew back in the day, well, he's lost a little bit of weight. The knobs are pretty good for the most part, but there are some that show up quite a bit, and we'll talk about those in a second. So like I mentioned, there are a couple of knobs on this that show up quite a bit, but then again, that is par for the course for high grades. With this, I didn't clean up any of the mold or seam lines. And as for the nubs, I did a double snip with the God Hand. Besides that, no other cleanup, so you can see exactly what's going on here. So up on the tops of the shoulders, we've got some fairly obvious looking seam lines with the nub right in the middle. Once again, that'll be simple to clean up, but it is there. As usual with Bandai's kits, or any kits in general, the darker plastic does mark quite a bit. So we've got some large seam lines there on the forearms, as well as some large obvious nubs right smack in the front. The same goes for around back on the forearms, but to me that is a little bit more forgivable than around on the front. And finally, and this seems to be something that we saw with the Destiny as well, the brand new Destiny that came out a couple of months ago, we've got one honkin' seam line on the side of this thing's head. You can't see this at all from the front, but from the side, that is very visible. That thing right there, that's not a nub, that's part of the design. But all in all, besides that, when it comes to mold lines, seam lines, etc., there's nothing really all that bad, and considering the color separation on this, it's very, very impressive. For me, the ugliest aspect about this kit would have to be in under the shoulder here. It's not really all that interesting. You can see where the arm is attached, that the arm isn't attached into the body at all, just into the shoulders, and it does look a little bit on the blank side there. Panelining some of that up or coloring it in grey or something like that may break that up a bit, make it look a little less boring, but for me that is the most basic looking aspect on this absolutely fantastic looking high grade. One thing that might bother some people is this right here. That is the yellow sections of the skirting armor are yellow on the underside. Some people mightn't like this so much, it's not that aesthetically pleasing per se. I find it's not necessarily all that noticeable, but if you do pop that shield on, again we'll talk about the shield later on, but just making a bit of an example here. That is also yellow on the underside, so you're getting a lot of yellow from the front there. Again, to me, I don't really mind this, but I know some people don't like that. So it's worth knowing, you might want some grey paint. So now moving on to the stickers, and not the worst by any measure whatsoever. So on the top line are the ones which I would consider kind of the ones you need to stick on. That would be the reflective ones like we've got on the head sensor up there, that's number 1. Number 2 is the eyes as usual, and number 3 there is that little gem section on the chest. The next set then, that's down in the lower section, this is all the color correcting ones. 4 and 5, they're for those shoulder bits you can actually see right there in the background. I decided to just go with some panel lining in there instead. I think it looks a little better and I like to maintain the three-dimensional look. The detail's already there, why waste it? Number 6 there is for the thrusters in the side skirts. This is what it looks like without them. I'm not going to stick them on, but they look okay. And the last ones there, number 7 and number 8, those are for color correcting the shield. Basically they're for the black and red aspects that are down on the lower section. Again, I think it looks fine without them, so I went without. But yeah, all in all, aesthetically, I am blown away by this kit. It looks so great for a high grade. All I can say is I am definitely impressed. High grades are getting better and better and better and better. And it is worth noting that this entire kit, besides the polycaps used in it, is brand newly molded for this year. So all in all, fantastic. So size comparison time. Gundam WIng has definitely been getting a lot of 1/44th scale love recently, so let's check them all out together. So first up, the high grade Maganak, only 1/36. The standard high grade Leo, the Space Leo, Flight Leo, the real grade Tolgis, and barely fitting in there, the real grade Wing 0EW. And as for some general height comparisons, there it is beside a standard sized Gundam, that's the real grade Mark II, a big old Gundam, which is the high grade Narrative, a bigger Gundam, the real grade New Gundam, and a high grade Zaku. So as you can see, he's pretty average height. I thought he'd be a little bit smaller, but he's not too bad. Now moving on to the accessories, and there's the high grade Sandrock with absolutely everything that it comes with. So as well as the pair of hands I've had connected the whole review so far, we also have 4 alternate hands, that's 2 left, 2 right. The shield, we've seen a brief look at that already, but we're going to see some more. Lastly then, we've got the weapons, which are the heat shotels, and we've got both the standard blades as well as those blazing hot clear red ones. As for the hands, we've got a pair of widespread open hands. These are very nice to have included in a high grade. I hate when you don't get these, and these ones are fairly nicely detailed. As well as that, we've got a pair of standard holding hands, like this right here. And lastly then, we have another pair of holding hands. These are at an extended angle with the thumb extended, and these are for holding onto the blades. Speaking of the blades, these are quite nice. The blade is in a lighter grey to the handle. The handle is fairly nicely detailed for a high grade. Of course, these pop into those hands we just saw, just like this. Simple as. And I absolutely love the fact that they included these extended hands to hold them at that angle. It makes posing so much nicer. Nice touch right here. Of course you can stick these in the standard hands as well, but that doesn't look nearly as dynamic, not at all. So as well as the standard gray blade we have here, you can pop that out and we've got that burning red equivalent. This looks so good. Look at that right there, that catches the light so perfectly. Of course, this doesn't necessarily, to me anyway, imply burning hot. Giving this a bit of a blast of some kind of orange paint on top of that would give it a bit more of a burning effect, but still, this is another fantastic touch. So next up then in here we have the shield. We saw this a little bit earlier on. I did mention that the back is completely in yellow. That may not be to everyone's tastes. We do have a bit of a hollow section down here. Again, pretty typical with a high grade. And you do need some stickers for the full color accuracy there, but besides that, this thing looks awesome. As usual, it just pops into the forearm like that right there. Looking pretty awesome. There's a tab in both forearms, so you can choose which one you want to put it on. When it's not in use, flip heavy arms around, and it just slots in here, just like that. The same goes for the heat show tail, so I'll just pop that off. They connect into this polycap here, this polycap here, so these can move up and down like so, which is pretty cool. On top of that then, stick on the shield, and all of this, including the backpack, can pop off like this, then affix onto the back of the forearm, just like so. How cool is that? These can still open and close for some enemy mobile suit murder. Anyway, as usual, there is what the Sandrock looks like fully loaded in a pose up on your shelf. So that's what it will look like in its final resting place. And all in all, it is a little bit on the small side. That is the usual case when it comes to a high grade. In a high grade collection, this will look great. Put in anything with larger scale mobile suits and figures, etc., and may get a little bit lost, but pretty much that right there is what it's going to look like. So now moving on to the articulation and the build, and first off I'll mention this thing is built perfectly. There is absolutely no loose parts, no nothing. It passes the wiggle test with absolute flying colors and no flying pieces. As usual here, we're going to move from the head down. At the neck we've got that standard polycap neck. This is nothing special, just two balls on the end of a polycap. Under the chin isn't the most beautiful thing, but you're not going to be looking in there all that often. Anyway, here we get your standard giggity goo. There's the head looking all the way up. Looking pretty good from the top, not so much from underneath. There it is all the way down, so pretty good. That can rotate all the way around. There's this side to side pivot, that's good. Nothing gets in the way there. We've got a pretty standard set of polycaps in the torso there. They move up and down as opposed to forward and back. So there's nothing really bringing the shoulders forward in any sort of special way besides those ball joints. So besides those, we've got the ball joints for a shoulder. The arm here is connected to the shoulder, so the shoulder isn't connected separately. It's just arm, shoulder, torso, so wiggles with it. So as for it raising its arm, there's its arm all the way up. On top of that, we also have the full 360-degree rotation, full spin up here at the upper arm, all the way around like so. You really couldn't ask for more at this elbow bend. That's as good as it gets. And the wrist right here is your... Whoa, come back here, you. Hey. But anyway, that wrist right there, standard ball joint. So usually high grades don't have a whole lot at the torso. Actually, a lot of gunpla doesn't have a whole lot at the torso. So that's why this right here impresses me. So first off, we do have a ball joint inside the torso there. That's your standard polycap ball joint in between those two sections. But on top of that, we've got a secondary ball joint down here, and that's pretty standard. This sort of basic forward and back bend here. But to make this even better, under its super awesome butt flap, we've got this incredibly simple but incredibly effective tilt forward. Look at that. That is all inside the waist unit right here, giving you even more. I am so impressed by this. So one more time, front, back, front. So you can get quite a bit out of that. I love this. Of course, that joint only goes forward and back, so the side-to-side tilt is fairly basic. We also have that full rotation right there. As for the front skirting armors, these do come joined in the box, but you can cut them apart to get that full flip all the way up like so, all the way up. So these are just basic ball joints. These guys right here, these are on those kind of polycap joints, so that means we've got a little bit of up and down flappy, as well as that rotation to the back and to the front. So that'll get that out of the way of those lateral kicks. Finally, this is a super ultimate premium butt flap right here. Look at that. That flips all the way up. I want to see more of this. A lot more of this. So Bandai keeps on bringing it with the simple and effective joints. You've got this swinging forward mechanism inside of the waist unit. So there it is all the way forward, all the way back. So of course this allows a lot more freedom of movement at the legs. So while we check out the kicks on this guy, you'll notice that all that skirting armor can move right out of the way. Again, impressively designed. So anyway, with that joint firmly to the back, there's the kick all the way up to the front. Now bring that joint forward and we get an even higher kick up to the front. There it is all the way out to the back, very nice. And of course, this thing absolutely slays the splits. Next up then, we've got the bend at the knee, so there it is fully bent. Not too bad at all. Probably the weakest bend I've seen on this so far, but that's not saying a lot because it's still impressive. So getting to the ankle now, this is double jointed. We've got a joint up here. Even with that bulky armor, you can see that that does not get in the way there. There is no side to side at this particular joint, just a swing forward and back that moves both the armor and the foot. But of course that armor can move independently as well. Down at the actual ankle then we have a ball joint, so that gives you a lot of extra there. And if that wasn't awesome enough, the toe can bend down just like so for those aerial and jumping poses. But anyway, I'm going to flip off the leg, or should I say take off the leg? I'm not going to flip the bird or anything like that. Just to check out the actual functional movement on the ground. So there's the leg all the way out while still touching the ground, so that is impressive. All the way in while it's still touching the ground, and that is pretty damn good. Next up then, the leg all the way to the back, still firmly planted on the ground there, pretty good. And then there it is all the way to the front, and we have a bend at the toe up the way. Woo, I almost missed that. Look at that, that's still planted on the ground. Fantastic. So yeah, the toe moves upwards as well as downwards. So awesome. So all in all, the articulation on the high-grade After Colony Sandrock is off the charts. This is so good. Take a beautiful looking high-grade Gundam, fire in that awesome articulation and a solid build, and you've got yourself an absolute winner. And that's what this is. So that right there is it for the review, and I'm both surprised and super happy to say that the high-grade After Colony Gundam Sandrock is gold tier. So this is way better than I expected, and this is as good as a high-grade gets without entering into not feeling like a high-grade territory. The Leo and the Maganak that just came out over the last couple of years have been absolutely fantastic, but it's nice to see one of the actual core Gundam units getting that love it deserves. Hopefully what this means is we will be seeing Deathside, Shenlong, and more importantly, Heavy Arms sometime in the future, and I'm hoping that they keep them proper TV versions, not like the ones we saw, the EW variants. They're awesome and all that, the master grade ones, but I want a Heavy Arms with a gun for an arm, for God's sake. But anyway, once again, this thing is awesome. The articulation is fantastic. The accessories are pretty damn cool. It's all you could ask for. And aesthetically, out of the box with no stickers, this thing looks almost perfect. Sure, it could be a little bit chunkier if you're a bit of a purist, but all in all, absolutely fantastic. Once again, if you do want one of your own, there's a link down there in the description. I'll also mention that there is a competition going on right now in the Mecha Gaikotsu Discord. The Discord is for supporters of the channel, that's on Patreon, as well as channel memberships. That goes as low as $1, but we're having an awesome Gundam pose-off contest which starts next Monday and only goes for a week. So get on there, have fun, talk to more like-minded Gundam fanatics, and support the channel. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. So once again, all my endless thanks to each and every one of you guys who supports this channel, including my patrons as well as channel members, including Craig Jerry, NQG420, Kaiser721, Forged Horizons, Vex, Bullwig, and Tyler Sanders.